How's it going, everybody? It's a little windy outside today. Hopefully you guys don't hear any of it because of the mic, but I always feel weird. Anyway, today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the transmission fluid on this Honda Pilot here. I typically do transmission fluid every 60,000 miles. This vehicle's at 120,000 miles. Therefore, it is due for a transmission service. The second one, I don't know if the first one was ever done, and a lot of people are saying that transmissions, that if you service them, and you missed a service or two, whatever, it could damage your transmission. I did hear about that all the time. However, I heard more people talk about that than I've personally seen ever. From between working at Honda and just putting transmission fluid in all my cars, I never had a car transmission go out from just changing the fluid. I know, like the Accord, for instance, when I first got the Accord, transmission was just gone. It basically just had 4 neutrals. Park, reverse, neutral, and drive. You put in a gear and it won't go anywhere. Versus I changed the fluid, flushed it out a couple times, and put some Lucas stuff in there, and now it's just fine, like a brand new transmission. I haven't had any issues from the transmission since. So things like that, like things that I hear about, but at the same time, things that I haven't really much experience with. So it is something to be mindful of, though, however. But changing transmission fluid, there's also a few things you need to know. There's different types of transmissions. There's manuals, automatics, dual clutch, CVTs, auto manuals, so on and so forth. Good long list. Each different type of transmission takes a different type of fluid. So if you take a certain type of transmission fluid, make sure you look that up. Also, when you're looking up for automatic transmissions and some of the other ones that have torque converters, when you look up how much fluid your transmission takes, it'll give you 2 numbers. And that's because your torque converter is just a big ball or a big bowl pretty much filled with fluid, and that's what helps your vehicle change gears and figure out the speed of the engine and whatnot. There's a fluid on it, it's going to be a lot more, and when you're changing the fluid on it, you're not going to change all the fluid, you're just only going to change what's in the pan. And there's also another thing with automatic transmissions, which this one is that some of them have pan, some of them don't. This is a sealed transmission system, sealed transmission, therefore there's no way to access inside of the transmission. Therefore you just drain it and refill it like you fill the oil. Now, with some other cars, like I know my Suburban, for instance, was an example, they have transmission pans. For those, you want to replace the pan and the filter with them. With these sealed ones, 9 times out of 10, there's not a filter. I know the Saturn, you have Saturn S series, but it's an automatic. Those do have a filter, it's underneath the battery. The manuals, on the other hand, do not. Pilot is an automatic. This Pilot also takes 3.6 quarts of fluid. If you don't know, always contact your dealer or your local AutoZone. They'll tell you. I don't want you guys putting too much or too little fluid because transmissions are really picky. Put a little bit too much or a little bit too low, your transmission is going to have issues. So this Pilot has like the very similar engine to the Accord. They're both the J series engine, V6s. This one just has slightly bigger pistons. But your intake would be here, your throttle body, your hose. If you and your brake master or your brake reservoir. If you look behind it, you'll see a plug right there. This is ATF. That's your automatic transmission fluid plug. That's where you fill in your fluid. Anytime you change any kind of fluid, always take off the fill bolt before the drain bolt, because if your drain bolt comes out and you drain all the fluid, but then your fill bolt is seized on there, well, then you lose all your fluid. You can't put more fluid in there. Well, then your car is just kind of stuck, and you just made a big mistake. So. And then the drain bolt is, right in the same exact spot. If you look underneath the vehicle, there's the transmission, and right there is the drain bolt. As you notice, it's not like a regular bolt. It's a 3/8 little space in there, but I'll show you that too in a minute. All right, so take out the fill bolt. It is a 17 millimeter, and it's way down in the engine. There you go. Now, these fill bolts are known to get pretty crusty, so this might be a struggle.
A few moments later.
That's the drain bolt. I got an oil pan here. I got the one from Walmart. I don't really like this one because the walls on it are so thin, and this camera might get splashed. But what you want to do? I'm gonna ratchet. I can't really fit a breaker bar. I don't really have the car jacked up on anything, just because the car's kind of high enough in the air already. The bolt should come loose, which it did. That was a struggle. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my thing here, I'm gonna move the camera because, well, I know this thing is gonna be a splash. But you want to have it drain into a pan. So like I said, this one has really shallow walls, which I do not like. Which sucks because it's like way more money. But at first I was like, oh, this is a cool pan idea. Until I realized it wasn't. But the fluid actually looks really good. It's pretty transparent, still pretty red, it's not black, so it's a really good sign to see in your transmission. This right here is where all the extra metal shavings go. So what I do is get a little bit of brake clean, ether, whatever you want to use. Spray down real good. Make sure it's not nasty. Alright, I got my drain bolt, got the washer off, and I got a new washer for it. Slips right on like that. And this is now at the point where it's good amount of draining, so you just plug it back in. And this one needs to be tight to 30 foot-pounds, I believe. So don't be like the last guy and go ham. Spray it a little bit. Let's get it nice and clean. Because ideally when you work on your car, you'd want it to look like no one worked on your car. Not super, super tight, not enough to where you see the gasket hammering out of there, or sandwiching out of there. Sweet, now we're good down here. Let's go back to the top. So it might be hard to see because this car is kind of taller than the tripod. But you want to get your funnel, and you want to do your best at trying to put it in the drain bolt hole. Alright, so you guys can see the funnel. I did have to squeeze it in there. It was an absolute pain. I recommend getting a really long funnel if you have one. Or if you don't have one, try to get one beforehand. Really make your life so much easier. But now what we're going to do, I'll put 3.6 squirts of Honda's automatic transmission fluid. Using the OEM stuff. You can get this stuff at the dealership for yourself. It's around $5 a bottle. If not, you can go to AutoZone. And for some reason at AutoZone it's way more expensive, believe it or not. But anyways, 3.6 quarts. Yeah, it's good. This bottle is roughly 1,000 milliliters. So go down to 400 milliliters on this bottle, you should be okay. And then I want to get the drain bolt, or the fill bolt. Put it back on the motor. Here's the gear shifter. And you want your transmission to be warm. Engine's cold, so it's a good chance the transmission also might be cold. We have our gear level, gear indicators here. And so what you want to do is you want to spend some time in each gear. So we're in P, which is potentially moving. R is for really moving in the wrong direction, but you want to hang around in R for a while. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Count sheep in your head. Do what you need to do. You want to get that fluid really moving into the transmission. Actually, pick up my parking brake. N for not moving. D for definitely moving. Two for too slow. One for as in you have one chance to not blow up your engine. Right in there. Two, back to too slow. Back to definitely moving. N for not moving. R for really moving, but in the wrong direction, and potentially not moving. Sweet, now let's go for a test drive. Now we're going to go through downtown Noda. It's everybody on Easter morning, by the way, so it is Easter. You're not going to see this video on Easter, but Easter. So, happy Easter, everybody, if you celebrate that kind of stuff. If not, disregard that message. See you guys next one. If you have any comments or questions or concerns about replacing transmission fluid in your car, you need help finding the capacity or whatever, just let me know and I'll try to do the best I can. It's a smart car pulling a trailer. That's something you don't see every day. And if you like this kind of stuff, make sure to subscribe. Like it. Like it if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I'd rather you not. But, you know, it's your opinion. But it's out there for you guys.